This channel is for entertainment purposes only, not to be taken as legal advice. Welcome, everybody. It's Thursday. This week went by so fast, and there's no shortage of the exciting things going on at Creditor Academy with almost 20 full-time staff in the background across 7 different departments, all to do our very best to give you the latest and greatest content, resources, and education to empower you to embolden your position as an American national. Today is a very important topic. It's actually one of the recent #1 questions that I've had in private consultations, in emails, and even in my after hours in my live. When I first came onto YouTube, I started with a very powerful video, which got taken down actually. And I had to repost up on Rumble as my first one. It was called Becoming an Individual Banker by Patrick Devine. It was my first video. That thing got almost 50,000 views within 48 hours. And then YouTube was like, nope, got to shut that down. And I reposted it up on Rumble. Very popular video to this day if you want to check it out on Creditor Academy over there. But that just kind of started everything. I started teaching the final process of Patrick Devine. But before I even got onto YouTube live and into a live little class there was a little bit of back history between Patrick Devine and I. For starters, we have never met. Patrick Devine was always on the internet and an influx of information like his documents and essays, reference material, and examples that he's posted online. And of course, there's plenty of his old audios that are available from the year 2009 to late 2016, early 2017, before he left the scene officially. He did over 5,560 documents, essays, and submissions to various governmental entities, all of which that were sitting on my coffee table. And I was like, oh my God, this is so much information. It's information overload. But then again, I was kind of used to it. And if you've been in this movement for a while, you might feel the same way about any guru that you follow. So I poured through there. I remember going to LA Fitness. So I have one down the road from me. I would play basketball inside of there. I'd have my headphones on, my Sony headphones. I would go in when there was in the morning time and then also in the evening time. And I would listen to this man over and over and over again with his teachings. I started at the very early audios of him and then got into the middle part. And then finally, I just said, oh my gosh, this is so much information. And these are old processes. What I really need is the final process. What is the last process before Patrick Devine left the scene? Very lucky for me, I was able to get a hold of some very, very rare audios of Patrick Devine's final process, as well as his documents and essays. And I was able to really study it. And I did it for weeks and weeks on end. Then I came into multiple groups that I was a part of. I was a part of all the main channels from other people in this space. SEDM.org. I was SBC University. I've been the Big Bad Wolf. I've been through them all. And I made myself known inside those groups. And I was saying, hey, you know, I'm going to teach on Patrick Devine. I've been studying him for a long time. I want you guys to hear what I have to say. I had 16 students that first recording that I put live on YouTube. And ever since then, it's been hundreds thereafter, and to what the Academy is today. So the question becomes is, since I've been on YouTube, I did about maybe 3 months-ish worth of teaching on Patrick Devine's final process. I would teach it all the way through, then I repeat the information, then I would add more and more information and depth to it. And then I really stopped. And then I said, okay, now I need to stop worrying about teaching Patrick Devine's final process and start putting together the Academy. We had such an influx of individuals that came to the Academy. I had my first ever Academy course called The Structure of Your Private Bank, which is the complete Patrick Devine final process explanation. I'm going to go through a piece of that today with you guys. And that was yet still to this day our most popular course. It's still going on live every Wednesday. That class is still the same price that I had it when I first came out, $49. You get the ebook, you get the recording, and you get the live class every Wednesday. And you get to, converse with others as well. If you would like to sign up for that class, to know everything about Patrick Devine and his final process, you can go to creditoracademy.com and fill out the Contact Us page. But remember, you need to subscribe to our YouTube channel before you do that, right? Always encouraging that. So the title of today's YouTube video is called P. Devine versus P. Rowland, the final process, part 1. This is going to be a multi-part series where I really start to show you how Patrick and I have a lot of similarities in our teachings, but we do have differences. It has been, 2016, 2017. It's now 2025. It's just about a decade later since Patrick Devine has left the scene. And we have 10 years worth of new information and more information that has come out since he last left the scene. In those 10 years, there are some serious things to bring up on developments since he left that I have added to the Academy that I thought were crucial and important, and especially for your success. So I want to cover a little bit about that within this series so I can give a clear explanation about what those developments are and how I instituted it into the Academy. But first, Patrick Devine, his final process. What was the end goal of Patrick Devine? I'm going to show you. I'm going to take snippets from my presentation that I have at Creditor Academy. And let me share my screen. Okay, the private banker EIN. Very powerful. If you know about Patrick Devine, you know that in his final process, he needed 3 EINs, and one was the private banker's EIN. Really, the end goal of Patrick Devine in his final process is that you were to become what is called an individual banker. What is an individual banker? Well, according to not only individual banker, but what is a private bank? Let's start there. According to Black Law's dictionary, defines a private bank as a bank owned by an individual, a partnership, or a closely held corporation. It's as distinguished from a bank owned by a state or a publicly traded corporation. In the context of private banking, as discussed in these financial sovereignty movements, like the one that we're in now, a private bank often refers to the concept where the individual establishes their own banking system, typically using legal structures like trusts or entities to manage their finances outside of traditional banking institutions. This concept is used to assert greater control over one's financial affairs and to navigate certain legal and financial systems differently. This was the intention of Patrick Devine, for him to establish his own private bank. We need to go more into, though, a little more into Black Law's dictionary to know what type of banker Patrick Devine was looking to become. So according to Black Law's dictionary, there is something called an individual banker. Under some statutes, an individual banker, as distinguished from a private banker, is a person who, having complied with the statutory requirements, has received authority from the state to engage in the business of banking. While a private banker is a person engaged in banking without having any special privileges or authority from the state. This is a ruling of case law of Perkins versus Smith. Now, in contrast, an individual banker is a person who has received authority from the state to engage in the business of banking. A private banker is considered a financial institution. What type of financial institution? An unincorporated banking institution and financial agency under 31 USC 53123, owned by an individual or partnership, and depending upon the state statutes, subject to or free from state regulations. So when Patrick Devine was talking about running his own private bank and discussing the final process of his teachings, it's correct. We need to get the terms right for what he was looking to become. Because if he called himself an individual banker, then he could get in a lot of trouble, right? Because that's under the statutory jurisdiction, right? And he wasn't technically a private banker, just a private banker, because he was an individual. He was an individual, not a corporation, that was running the private bank. So the correct terminology that Patrick Devine utilized is he said, I am an individual banker for a private bank. An individual banker for a private bank. This is why you get the term individual banker a lot. But I don't want to confuse you, because if you call yourself an individual banker, you are putting yourself into the statutory. You're an individual banker for a private bank. Okay. So why did he need the EIN for a private bank? Well, the purpose of Patrick Devine obtaining an EIN for a private bank was to establish a separate legal entity for banking and financial purposes. This EIN serves as the identification number or account number for the private bank, similar to how a social security number identifies an individual. Establishing a private bank EIN not only provides security against the identity theft and fraud, but also serves as the account number for your private bank. Patrick's private bank acts as a repository for his estate, his checking, and his foreign grantor trust, which is his saving, allowing him to manage his assets securely and privately. Now, we're gonna switch thought processes now. I taught you about Patrick Devine a little bit, and now I'm gonna talk to you about Paul Michael Rowland, okay? Let's go back to this section. What am I teaching in my academy that's similar to what Patrick Devine is doing, okay? As you see right here, is inside this paragraph, is that according to financial sovereignty movements, a private bank often refers to the concept where individuals establish their own banking system, typically using legal structures like trusts or entities, to manage their finances outside traditional banking institutions. There are three pillars to Creditor Academy. The first pillar is become private, okay? You need to be private yourself before you go into the second pillar, which I'm about to talk about, which is operate in the private. Then the third and final pillar to the academy is build unlimited credit, okay? So become private, operate privately, and then build unlimited private credit. In this circumstance, I'm utilizing Patrick's teachings by utilizing trust structures in my second pillar, so then you can go outside of the traditional banking institutions and being able to establish your own legal structure, so then you can assert greater control over your financial affairs and also build private credit around those entities. This is like operating your own private bank. In my structures that I talk about the father, mother, and child trust structure, which, in correlation to Patrick Devine, is in correlation to the estate and foreign grantor trust accounts, right? So I had a individual banker's EIN for the private bank. I had an estate EIN, and I had a foreign grantor trust EIN as well. But I also teach in other ways, hey, you don't have to utilize this 3-tier structure from Patrick Devine. You're a private banker. You can call your tier structure whatever you want. And actually, the more you utilize different names that are not related to your actual name, the more privacy you will accomplish, okay? So there you go. Here's some yin and yang here, okay? So I want to continue. I want to talk about the a little bit about the benefits. Okay, you get to, okay, so business trust. Okay, well, before we get to business trust, okay. So Patrick Devine, the benefits he was trying to gain through the private bank were the following: is he wanted everything confidential, which allows for effective management. There is no entity more confidential than a business trust, and a business trust cannot come into existence without an EIN number. It's the same thing when I go and open up a bank account. I just went to Chase Bank, got some really nice new business credit cards, and they said, hey, you would like to open up this business account, Mr. Rowland. I need 2 things from you. I need your declaration of trust document, and I need your EIN number, your private banker's EIN number, right? So to speak. I give them these 2 things along with my private identification, which is my passport, Remember, I've already become private, so my status was reflected in my passport. That's why I always use that as identification. So now I have just effectively opened up a bank account with Chase utilizing a confidential private entity, so then I am well protected and I have a place to house some credits here, okay? So, allows you to take control over assets. Absolutely, business trusts do that. You can fund assets into any business trust, houses, cars, bank accounts, personal items, and so on. It allows for acquiring new contracts and allows for assets to be bought or obtained. You can buy or obtain any assets with a business trust. You have been operating as a public banker, issuing securities all over the place, which makes you vulnerable for identity theft and fraud. Having a private banker EIN shields and protects you from these unwanted activities. It's absolutely true. Every single time you sign up for a house, a car, a new contract, or even for student loans or anything like that, you're putting yourself out there for fraud. Patrick Devine was trying to protect his identity at all costs. So this is why he utilized his entities in all of his operations. It's the same thing that I'm teaching in the academy. I'm utilizing the concepts of the private banker's EIN. I'm just showing you the more flexibility that you have. As so many of you are just so fixated on the EINs that Patrick Devine is teaching you, which is okay, which is totally fine. You got to start it somewhere, right? But you don't have to just have a private banker's EIN and operate the rest of your life that way. You should have many entities. I have 17 in total so far right now, 17 business trusts. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. And I have that many for many different reasons, specifically for liability. You can protect yourself from further identity theft and fraud in the private side. Absolutely, business trusts are for exactly that. You can settle debts with business trusts. You can control what happens to negotiable instruments in trusts. You can earn revenue from your birth certificate and contracts. Okay, now, why do I say that? Now let's go to another pillar. Okay, let's go back a pillar, which is become private. In the SPC process that we have here at the Academy, we are communicating with the IRS, Puerto Rico, and Secretary of State, and Janet Yellen, and some other ones else. I'm forgetting at the moment. And what we're doing is we are submitting a trust to the IRS that we have control over. This is important because This is important because of this, your straw man, your legal fiction, okay? Your legal fiction. You can't start this whole movement without knowing about what the straw man is. What is the straw man, or what is your legal fiction? It's the paper form of you. It's your birth certificate. It is the all caps name entity. Your straw man is the business corporation created by the state you were born in with your same name, but in all caps, so that you can enter their system or game and play with them. Since everything in the corporate world is dead, only other dead things can communicate with each other. This is the dead version of you, your birth certificate. Therefore, they created a dead paper version of you and had your parents sign over your registration to the state so that they could use our credits, thus beginning our financial servitude or slavery, all unbeknownst to us. Sounds very much like having our name being written in the book of the dead, and like the mark of the beast, not being able to buy or sell goods without it. Is this the exact process? We cannot buy or sell goods currently without operating in their system currently. This is from Revelations 13, 16, and 17. So what did they do with this birth certificate? You know, what did they create with it? Well, it's something called a Sista KV trust account. A trust is set up for you at the time of the straw man's creation to hold all your credits. You do not own this account, but you are the rightful beneficiary. Therefore, the trustees are supposed to act on our behalf in your best interest. This is why all of our bills and taxes are supposed to be handled for us, as we have the full faith and credit to pay for everything. You, the living man or woman, are the beneficiary of the Sista KV trust. When in court, the judge, whom is acting as a magistrate, is the trustee of the Sista KV trust. The clerk is the administrator of the Sista KV trust. We have to go into the definition here of what a Sista KV trust is, but it is rather a phrase, the Sista K part, a phrase that is derived from the medieval England and adopted by French law. Sista K trust can be translated as he for who the benefit of the trust was created. This term is an antiquated word used to describe a beneficiary of a trust. And then what is a beneficiary? It is a person for whose benefit trust property is held by another, the trustee. A beneficiary may be a natural person, a company, or other legal entity. I bolden that. The beneficiary under a trust has equitable interest in the trust property, and the trustee is subject to the administration of the trust in their best interests. Okay? So you are the rightful beneficiary. You do not own this trust account, but you are the rightful beneficiary. But if you, the living man or woman, are the beneficiary of the Sista KV trust, is it really you, the one that's living? Or is it the corporate fiction you? Is it your all caps name that is the entity? Okay, see where I'm going with this? So when you come to the academy and you come to the first part of the academy in the become private where everybody starts, I start you off with your SPC process to reorganize and reestablish the Sista KV trust. I remove it by adding a new trust, a new private trust that you can own and control. In order for a trust to be in operation, in commerce that is, it needs an EIN number attached to it. That EIN commercial EIN number is your foreign grantor trust EIN number. And this is why this is the second EIN number that Patrick Devine requires you to have. And this is why I instituted it into the Academy. I gave you my template of a very powerful business trust. There is no other organization that has my template, for sure. So I love that template. I've used it almost for 7 years, and it's what I utilize to get control and move out my Sister KB trust. Now, how is my trust organized? Well, I have the living and I have the fiction, okay? The fiction is still in the same place. It's the birth certificate. But in the living, the grantor is no longer mama, because mama was the grantor of the Sister KV trust. So now the grantor of my living trust is me. It's Paul Michael. It's the living man who is the grantor. And it's the living man who is the trustee, who is supposed to act on behalf in the best interest of the beneficiary. Okay? So now I have full control over my unlimited credits, and all of the profits spill back over into what? The account that is unlimited. The account that is unlimited is that birth certificate account. Okay, so we have to go over how we have been operating. I don't want to go through this whole entire presentation, but wow, it's just so good for what I'm talking about. If you want to see the entire presentation of this and you want me to really go in depth with every single page, go to creditoracademy.com and fill out the contact us form and write a message. I want the structure of your private bank, and we will get you signed up for that. Live every Wednesday. Plus, you get a book, you get pre-recorded materials, you get to meet others in class, and it's only $49. It's $49. So great to have it. Everything is banking, as Patrick Devine has taught us. So if everything is banking, we need to look using money and creating accounts. We have unknowingly been bankers. We have been operating as public bankers without realizing it. We thought banks are the ones lending us money and having all the power, but they are merely thrifts or transfers agencies, mediums of exchange for the money we create, which is our securities, paper money, promissory notes, etc., which the banks only exchange for monopoly money, Federal Reserve notes, to keep the game going. Banks have no power to create anything, as they are dead. Only procedures of how to properly operate within the private Federal Reserve banking system. Everything in the business world, business trusts, business world, operates under this system as corporations, dead entities, and are all bankrupt. They do not have money, as it is only we, the living, that create the money with our signatures. The banks and all governmental employees are public servants and work for us. We, the people, are the true government and power holders, as we have the divine spark of the Creator and are alive with this divine power to create. Oh, so true. Patrick Devine, very passionate and really wise for teaching this about public banking and why the private banker's EIN was so important. But I really want you to understand that in my academy, in the Operate Private, I take this concept right here. And I want to point out this sentence specifically. Everything in the business world operates under this system as corporations, dead entities. Once again, I teach you how to go into the business world in the private with your business trust. And I teach you how to operate under their system, under corporations, your corporate EIN numbers, your dead entities. So then when you give your signature, the credit is added to these accounts for you to utilize. What happens if these accounts burn up all the credit and all that, and it can't be paid back? Not your problem. Just whatever. Move on. And this is why the third pillar of the academy is build unlimited private credit through your dead corporate entities with your private status. Is this all making sense? I mean, is this making sense? I have the flavor of Patrick Devine. I have my own way of adding to it, but I did this very methodically when I was going through Patrick Devine's final process. Okay, so now I'm going to stop sharing that. I'm almost done with part one of this, but I want to now go into me a little bit more. Okay, Patrick and I have different phrases. We have different phrases. His whole thing in his final process is becoming an individual banker. And when I thought to myself about an academy, kind of like when I went to nursing school, you know, when you go to nursing school, or I even went to the University of Washington to go be a psychologist, and I met with an educational counselor. You know what an educational counselor does? Is they do talk about the classes you'll be taking and how long it takes and kind of what to expect about what school is going to be like in your experience at the university or the college. But they really don't talk to you much about everything you're going to be learning. What do they talk to you about? They talk to you about what the life is that you're going to live when you become a nurse, right? What life is going to be like when you become a psychologist. What life is like going to be for any trade, right? That's what you go to the school for, is you know you're going to take classes that are beyond you and that you're going to be learning like a freshman inside the university. But what is it actually that I'm going to Creditor Academy to become? What is that called? In this movement, with any organization, the linchpin of what they teach is the title of which that they are going to deem you or give to you to say, hey, you did it, you graduated, you worked all this hard, you did all this studying, you're now this. Now, what is this? Now, one of the popular phrases is an SPC, a secured party creditor. We have an SPC process at Creditor Academy in the Become Private pillar. But is the SPC process the one and done? For many of you that have been in this movement, have you been thinking to yourself, I'm an SPC, I have a $100 million bond. That's it. Congratulations, you got a yacht. No, it's never the case, because otherwise I wouldn't have consultations anymore. All of you would just be showing off your yachts, right? So you're obviously, the graduation is not an SPC because there is still more to learn. There's still more to do. Okay, well, what about an American national? I did it, Paul Michael. I did status correction. I became an American. Look at my passport. The government's not messing with me anymore. Is that true? Is that true? Is the what the cops look at you? Oh, I saw your passport. Sorry. My bad. Have a nice day. Bye-bye. No, so it's not an American national. And it's not even anything that you do with a business trust or anything like that. So what is it? And I feel like in this entire guru market, no one has been able to put a name on it. No one has been able to say, this is what you want to be. This is what you're working toward. This is what the profession you're going to have when you graduate. Just like when I was in nursing school. When I graduate nursing school, I'm going to be a nurse. I'm going to be recognized as a nurse. So what do you recognize that when you graduate from Creditor Academy. I'm going to explain that to you. There's two things I really want to cover to you guys. Okay, I'm going to be a little dramatic about this. I love it. It's like second nature to me. But I want you to imagine this, okay, is to be sovereign is to be free. To stand independent. It is to embody the highest form of authority over one's own life and affairs, unshackled by unwarranted interference or control. It is the sacred birthright of our nation, deeply woven into the fabric of our history, born from a rebellion and nurtured into a revolution and solidified by law. It begins with the birth of a nation unlike any before it, the United States of America. The year was 1776. The colonies had suffered long under the yoke of the British rule, denied by the most basic rights and liberties. It was here that a radical idea was born that government derives not from kings or aristocrats or from the will of the people, but it is from the will of the people. And so the Declaration of Independence was proclaimed to the world that we, the people, were free and sovereign. This was not just a political statement, it was the bold declaration of individual sovereignty, a covenant that each man and woman possesses inalienable rights given not by the state, but by the Creator. But sovereignty did not just end with independence. The architects of this nation went further and embedded the principles of individual sovereignty into the very foundation of our legal structure through the U.S. Constitution. The 10th Amendment stands as the testament to this, as it states, the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the state respectfully or to the people. The journey really was not realized, the journey that we went on was realized that sovereignty for all has been long and fraught with struggle. Oh man, so many wars. Over time, those powers have sought to diminish the sovereignty of the people, to centralize control, to transform a free man and woman into the subjects of a bureaucracy and regulation. But the law, when understood, still holds the keys to reclaiming that sovereignty. This is why our first pillar at Creditor Academy, Become Private, is so important, because when you go through that section of our academy, you'll get the understanding of the history, that you'll discover the tools to restore what has been hidden in plain sight. You'll know the principles of laws. You'll know about the birth certificate authentication, the trust laws. You'll know not just the relics of the past, but the instruments of liberation. So sovereignty is a huge part of this movement, and why, if we're going to graduate, sovereignty needs to be part of the name. But that's not the only thing. Sovereign or sovereignty is not the only thing. There's also something else inside of the academy that is a pillar by which we are trying to put the three underneath. And this is based off of life experience that I've gone through with all of my businesses. There were three stages I went through in life, and it's similar to what you're going to go through as well. The first stage in my working career is I was an employee. I worked for other individuals. My schedule, my pay, and my net worth was determined by another administrator or CEO on what I should have been paid. Then I branched out of that and I started helping seniors in geriatric home health care. And I started seeing how much the agency was charging. I was just like, oh, shoot, I'm going to do this. I'll get paid 3 times as much if I do it myself. And I just need a few clients. That's fine. So I became the second stage, which is called self-employment. Self-employment is where I take my own time, my own money to invest in what? My dream. My own time, my own money to invest in my own dream. I eventually got so busy with so many wonderful Bettys and Margarets and Golden Girls that wanted Nurse Paul to come into their house and they can't get an extra. Can you turn me in bed just one more time? So I needed staff. And I was just like, I would love to help you girls out. Absolutely. Let me get some CNAs. Let me get some extra help in here. And then I went to the next stage, which was called an entrepreneur. Okay. An entrepreneur. That's where I use other people's time. I use my money for what? My dream. Other people's time, my money for my dream. Then eventually my organization became larger and larger and larger. And I eventually went into upon meeting some really influential people in my life, into the last transition in my professional career. And I realized how to use credit because I was always dipping into my savings account to pay for everything. And finally, I developed business relationships with bankers at Charles Schwab that kind of showed me, hey, you could be utilizing credit to pay for everything. And then that's where, and when I moved into that stage, I was now utilizing other people's time, other people's money for my dream. And there's only one name for that. And that's a capitalist. That's what a capitalist is. A capitalist is embedded and can only thrive in an environment that is sovereign by the people. That is the only way that capitalism came to be. It doesn't thrive under communism. It doesn't thrive under socialism. It doesn't thrive under Nazism or any of the other isms except for capitalism, because it requires a free market, free thinkers, and free creativity in order for it to flourish. And it's what made us the most richest nation and the most powerful country in the entire world. We became what was known back then as sovereign capitalists. We were sovereign capitalists. And that is what we offer at the Academy. We want to restore the democratic republic that it used to be before this banking cartel took it over, made us slaves to them, and took away the sovereignty that we once had, and took away our capitalist ability by putting us into an educational system that told us only how to do one thing: be employees for the banking capitalists. Right? Isn't that the story? That's the whole story. I can't think of any other story. I don't know what else to call it. That's exactly what it is. So when you come to the Academy, yes, we'll teach you about what our 3 pillars are. We'll teach you about a little bit about what you get with each one of them. We teach you that, hey, we have instructional designers at Creditor Academy who put together professional videos on business trusts and private membership associations and how to utilize credits and become private. We have instructors, full-time instructors. We have 6 or 7 classes a week, you know, dedicated to your education in all 3 of these pillar subjects. We offer services, we offer products, IDs and badges, and you're all in one platform to guarantee your success, so we can be a stepping stone to you becoming a sovereign capitalist once again. And let me tell you, it is truly freeing. It is truly freeing when you get to that point. So I want to read the definition. I'm going to put it also in the chat as well, of the actual definition of what a sovereign capitalist is. It is someone who becomes private, gaining full control over their money and assets outside the traditional systems and government institutions. They operate privately through their sovereign status, trusts, and proven strategies for wealth expansion and the development of unlimited private credit. Their ultimate goal is achieving true financial freedom and creating lasting security for themselves and their family. That's the dream. That's what I want everybody to become. Patrick Devine was crucial in me putting together the Academy for what it is today, in which I am grateful for all of his life's work. And I think, in my opinion, in order for me to make an honor of his legacy, is not to teach where he left off, but to continue to grow, to add based upon the new information that we give. And I put everything into this to make you guys have one place that you can be confident that you're getting everything that you need, and that there's a clear path of not endless studying, not endless YouTube videos to watch, not many groups that you have to join, but a structured education to lead you to your success. So that is the start of part 1 of P. Devine versus P. Rowland for today's presentation. Wow, very powerful. Thank you everybody for joining us on YouTube today. If you would like to join the live class today and be a part of the exciting Q&A and interact with the amazing people here at the Academy, you can go to creditoracademy.com, and on our homepage, you will see the live Tuesday and Thursday class, and you can come right into this room right here, right now, and ask me questions from myself and from our other instructors. If you have not hit that subscribe or the notification bell, or joined us on X or Telegram or TikTok or Rumble, please consider subscribing to all those places. This coming next week, Tuesday, I'll be excited as we'll go through part 2, as more as the dynamic and the comparison of Patrick Devine's Final Process and what we teach here at the Academy. Until next time, take care of yourselves and your loved ones. Bye, everybody on YouTube. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. All right.